With the Prophet ﷺ, everything was perfectly set. He wasn't too tall, nor was he too short. His skin was not too light, nor was it too dark. He was azhar al-lawn. He had a bright skin color, but at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ was not pasty white. His face was not too round, nor was it too narrow, but it was closer to being round, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, if you're looking at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want you to imagine standing in front of him alaihi salatu wasallam, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to connect with his eyes, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Ma'bad radiallahu anha says that the Prophet ﷺ's eyes had a perfect contrast. The black was exceedingly black in his eyes, and the white was exceedingly white. His eyelashes, alayhi salatu wasalam, were so long that it looked like they naturally had kuhul, they naturally had an eyeliner on them. And they were always moist from his tears, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He had these large curved eyebrows, and they were full, and they almost connected, but there was a beautiful space right between them where the light would shine. Azim al-hama. The Prophet ﷺ is described as having a prominent forehead. And in his forehead, there was a vein that would only show when he became upset, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As for his nose alayhi salatu wasalam, was not flat, nor was it too pointy. But the Prophet ﷺ had a finely sloped nose. And they described it as having a unique glimmer to it. So it shined in a way that when you were away from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you might have assumed that it was larger than it actually was. But when you came close to him, you realized that it was just the shine of his nose that made it so prominent. When he opened his mouth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would notice his teeth, and they were perfectly set. Remember, he used to use the siwak at least 5 times a day. So his teeth, alayhi salatu wasalam, were described as white as hailstones, and they weren't clustered together. They were set in a way that there was a fine line between each of those teeth. And his mouth, alayhi salatu wasalam, was wide, and he's described as having a perfect articulation. His words were crisp. You could hear everything he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his voice was melodious, and it had a natural echo to it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his hair, just like everything else, is perfectly in the middle. It wasn't too straight, nor was it too curly, but instead it was wavy hair. And the Prophet ﷺ would keep it sometimes to his earlobes, sometimes he would let it go all the way to his shoulders, ﷺ. And of course, in times of Hajj and Umrah, he would shave his head, ﷺ. He also had a dense, full beard, alayhi salatu wassalam. And the Prophet ﷺ used to comb his hair, and he used to comb his beard. And they were fully black. And the Sahaba counted just between 14 and 20 gray hairs in his hair and his beard, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the time of his death.